Yeah, welcome everybody. Um, we are really excited to share this moment with you as this presentation is part of our 50th anniversary as the Brother Wolf Foundation. And the secret language of wolves and dogs is a mystery to yet be revealed today. We would like to go over just a couple things that will be yeah, important for a really smooth flow. So we're going to be in the presentation there's going to be moments where we ask if you have any questions or if you'd like to share something. And in that time, we highly invite you to participate. We love participation. And please do that by raising your digital Zoom hand. And that is located in your Zoom commands in a react button that has a heart. And when you click on that, it'll have a raised hand. As soon as we are doing the PowerPoint, we're not seeing everybody, and the Zoom digital Zoom hand will propel you automatically to our attention. Um, Good. So I would like to pass it on. Oh, another thing we would like to ask is that you keep yourself muted unless you're talking yourself, just to support that our recording quality. And in that regards, think we're ready to pass it over to Tamarack. Tamarack, you're muted.
Hey, are we unmuted?
Yes. Yes, we can
Great.
hear you.
Okay. Welcome, everybody. This is a very touching experience for me because it gives me the opportunity to share a big part of my life, my relationship with Wolf. You know, almost 60 years ago now, I rescued uh, a litter of pups from a zoo, a roadside zoo, and I had a friend rescue their parents as well. And that those pups grew up and they formed a family of their own, a pack of their own, and they adopted me into that family. And I learned firsthand, very intimately, what it is like to be in a close and caring family. And I learned communication on an entirely uh, deeper and more intimate level than I ever communicated before. As we all know, just as we're doing now, our communication is largely verbally based, and we are not designed to be that way. We are designed to communicate in a full sense, intuitively, through facial expression, through body language, through our intuitive connection with each other and with the hoop of relations around us, which is giving us cues and signals all the time. And it's this depth of communication that I learned so much about with my life with wolves. And this is the way all of nature communicates, and we'll be getting into that shortly. But first of all, what I'd like to share is what Letty and I and Odemakwa and any of you who have a close relationship with other people and especially with nature, you know already that everything is relationship. Relationship is what gives this the form and substance to life. And relationship is communication. Without communication, there is no relationship. And when there is poor communication, there is poor relationship. And what Letty and I would like to do here is to share the nuances of communication through the eyes of Wolf, because this is going to help us to communicate better, and it is going to help us to be in better, more fulfilling relationship in our relationships right here and now in our lives. And subsequently, this is going to help us in our relationship with nature as well. So we want to broaden this out. Yes, we're going to be talking a lot about wolves and dogs and canines and everything, but let's let that be our window to who we are and how we are designed to communicate. We can learn so much from wolf. For those of you who were part of the workshop last week, you heard the stories our elder storyteller here told us about how wolf and human evolved together, how we were the first people, the wolf person and the human person, the first people on our mother planet here. And that's why we have this intrinsic communication relationship with wolf. So what works for wolf works for humans and vice versa. And the fundamental reason for that, looking at it from a biological perspective, if you will, is that the more social an animal is, the more complex their language, because it has to be. There's so much that needs to be communicated spontaneously and regularly. And the two most social animals on this planet are wolves and humans. Now, that may sound strange to someone who doesn't know wolves, but for someone who knows wolves, there's no doubt about it. And for you who know or have dogs, you know this too, because you have an intimate relationship with your dog. There is something there. There's this ancestral bond with canines that we evolved with. So you know it. You know it in your heart, and your dog knows it in his or her heart. It's there. It's there. And we are honoring that in our time together here. There are other social animals too who have a very complex language. Whales and dolphins, for example, they have a beautiful language, which scientists, researchers are exploring right now to try to come up with that bridge between our form of language and theirs so that we can communicate, so that we can have interspecies communication in the same way that we have with dogs and wolves. Are there any questions or thoughts on what's been covered so far? Because this is the foundation of what we're doing. This is really important to get down.
Yeah, and I'd like to repeat, because some people entered later, that we really love participation and questions and input, and would love to invite you to raise your digital Zoom hand if you'd like to contribute something, so that we see right away that you have importance to share here.
Yeah, and we'd really like to have interaction. For those of you who know us, you know that we don't believe in interruptions. You know, if you have a question or something to share, this is a contribution. This is, this is the circle way. Don't worry about it. Anytime, just raise your hand. We welcome the input and the sharing.
Yeah.
Okay. We'd like to start by talking a little bit about, are we on full screen, Odemakwa?
We are on full screen. Are we ready to go into the presentation?
I'm going to do a little bit more of an introduction first.
Okay.
We're talking about wolves and dogs, and I think it's important to understand the dog-wolf relationship because all dogs descended from wolves. And some of the dogs you would least suspect to be descended from wolves are actually the most closely related. Pekingese and Shiatsu breeds, the little furry little lap dogs, they are actually very closely related to wolf, believe it or not. You would least suspect it, but the DNA evidence shows that they are closely, they're more recently descended from wolves and have more pure wolf blood than many of our other breeds of dogs, believe it or not. And for people who have these breeds, they know that they're just little lap dogs, but they have this independence about them that shows that they've got some of their savvy yet. They've got some of their wolf spirit. It's there. It's there. In a cute little bundle, but it's there.
It always amazes me how the smaller they are, the braver they seem to
Yeah,
think themselves.
yeah,
It's like they'll jump up and then they'll challenge any big dog. It's
yeah.
hilarious.
It's so cute, so cute. And the other breeds most closely related to wolf are the ones who actually look the most wolf-like. The sled dogs, for example. Uh, the the people in the North Country who use sled dogs actively uh, stake out their bitches oftentimes when they're in heat. The bitch is a female dog. Stake them out so that a male wolf will come along and mate with them. So they keep the high level of wolf blood in their sled dogs for the stamina, the endurance, and the independence, because sled dogs have to be good thinkers. Those lead dogs have a lot of responsibility in guiding the sled. And German shepherds as well are closely related to wolves. The German Shepherd breed, some of you know this, I think I mentioned this last week. Uh, the German Shepherd breed started in 1899. It's actually a very, very recent breed of dog, and they're descended from uh, herding dogs, sheep dogs, who were staked out as well to breed with wolves to keep that high level of intelligence and autonomy in in their uh, in their guard dogs, guarding their herds and their flocks. So uh, I'd like to show a couple of core similarities and differences between wolves and dogs so that we can understand a dog's psyche. And that's going to help to better understand why there are similarities and differences in the way dogs and wolves communicate. There are distinct differences that explain why dogs act the way they act. And this is going to help you to understand your dogs. Or if you run into a dog, attacked by a dog, this is going to help.
And right before you go into that, love, I'd like to invite us to consider as we hear this that there is a wolf and a dog inside each one of us. And so just to keep that in the perimeter of your consciousness, how that might relate to your inner aspects.
Very, very important. Our spirits are so closely aligned with wolf spirit because we evolved together. It's a beautiful story of our evolution, and that'll be a part of another workshop. Right now, we're looking at communication. Here is the skull of a wolf. This is from Alaska. This is a northwestern wolf. It's the biggest wolf there is. The size wise the biggest wolf on the continent. And you see that the skull is long and slender. The reason for the length of the muzzle of a wolf is not for attack purposes or defensive purposes, but but so that there is a lot of room for scent glands so that they can smell. With all animals, the longer the muzzle, the longer the snout, the better they can smell. Deer have a long muzzle, a long snout. It's so that they can smell better, that they can smell danger. Wolves use scent more than anything else for hunting, so they have this long muzzle so that they can smell. And right at the end of the lower and upper jaw are four very, very effective canines. When a wolf attacks their prey, they sink these canines into the animal and they hang on. And they can be flying around and kicked around and everything, but they just hang on. They've got tremendous strength in their jaws. Their jaws, the molars back here, see the molars in the upper and lower molars? They have a crushing power of 1,500 pounds per square inch. They can crush any bone, virtually any bone, to get at the marrow. The marrow is high in fat. It's very high in nutrient value. and it's the last thing that's eaten on a carcass. But wolves will eat an entire carcass of an animal except for the stomach contents. They eat everything. That's how they get. We think of them as carnivores, but they're not just eating the flesh. They're eating everything, which is why they get complete nutrition out of a single animal. So that's a wolf skeleton skull. Here's a coyote skull. Compare. Now, the native people here call wolf Maingan, and Letty knows the language much better than me. She can tell you what that means. And the coyote is called Mainganans, and Nans is the diminutive. It means little wolf. So we have big wolf and little wolf. And interestingly, that works out genetically as well, because our eastern timber wolf and the coyote evolved from the same animal. One bigger to fulfill an ecological niche of taking down the large ungulates, the deer and the moose as primary prey, and the coyote is better at subsisting on small animals, rabbits and other small animals. So that's the primary difference here. And they are so closely related that they can interbreed, and they sometimes do. All of our wolves here in Wisconsin, where we live, have some coyote blood, and all of the coyotes have some wolf blood. And there's some intermediate animals who you can't tell the difference. They're intermediate in size between the two. So this keeps the gene pool alive and active. Now, again, if ever there are any questions or I can elaborate more, just raise your hand. Okay, now we're going to compare wolf and dog skulls. First of all, the side view. This is a dog. This is a typical dog, which is a mixed breed dog. And this is the wolf skull to compare. Let's see. Okay, there's the wolf. Here's the dog. See the differences? There's basically the same structure. Look at a top view as well. Basically the same structure, except that the dog has a higher brow and a shorter muzzle. This is generally true of dogs in comparison with wolves. Now, the reason for that is not necessarily that they are supposed to not have as good a scent as a wolf, but the reason is that dogs are incompletely developed. They have the trait is called neoteny, which is a seemingly adult animal who retains subadult characteristics, puppy-like characteristics. Now, puppy wolves are more blunt-faced and they have broader faces, these cute little puppy faces. And dogs retain that in their adult lives. And that's why dogs have, why they can be emotionally dependent on humans. Puppies are very, very dependent on their mothers. Well, our adult dogs retain this puppy-like characteristic to be able to attach emotionally to humans. That's why dogs in general are not as independent as wolves. They're dependent on us for their emotional sustenance. And you see that in the way dogs act. They act puppy-like. They wag their tails a lot and they like to play and they're mischievous like puppies, they never fully grow out of it. And we selected our dogs to have those characteristics so that we can control them. A wolf puppy can be quite easily controlled by the adult wolves, but an adult wolf is very independent, very, very self-sustaining. So that's a big difference between our dogs and wolves, even though genetically they are identical, they're descended from one another. And understanding this helps us to communicate better with dogs because we need to understand that essentially, uh, in human terms, we are communicating with a child rather than an adult. If you were with a wolf, you would be communicating with an adult wolf, you would be communicating with a fellow adult. Communicating with a dog, even an adult dog, is you're really communicating with a child psyche.
This is so interesting because what it's bringing up for me is just that as the part of me that is acculturated, more dog-like, has these needs for emotional, is emotionally dependent.
Mhm.
And the part of me that is more that part of the wolf that is more independent and more like, I do this, I can do this. And there's like this interaction between those two going on inside of me. So
Yeah,
yeah, and
there
if
it is.
anything's coming up for anybody in the audience, please bring it up because this is really kind of it's a deep theme that can really elicit some deep reflection, and we'd love to hear any of that comes up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've had new people joining. So again, we loved participation and we get to see that and call your name the best when you raise your digital hand. When Tamarack says raise your hand, that's what it means too, because it helps us to see you in all the different Zoom windows. So the digital hand on the Zoom controls is what gets us aware right away that somebody would like to contribute.
Yeah, and there are no silly questions. Don't worry about that. If it's something you're curious about or you'd like to contribute, just do it. This is dog communication and wolf communication, and the way we're exploring it is a new frontier. We have a research project going on this. Not very many people understand wolf communication in a deep sense because not many people have actually lived with wolves. They do not know wolves intimately.
And we have Sandra, and I just want to clarify something that there's when I'm gonna just show that so that everybody can see it. Raise hand, I'm gonna do it right now. Shows this symbol and moves that Zoom window right to the front. When you use another symbol like a thumbs up or something, it just pops up. Yeah, that's exactly that. That stays stationary until it's removed. Thank you, Sandra.
Yes, I have a question. Maybe 3 years ago, I had encounter, I guess, with a wolf. I'm not quite sure. I was by myself, and it was evening dawn, and I wanted to go back through a pass, and there was a acker here on this side, and
A
another
field,
acre
there was
on
a
the other
field. Hmm.
field. Yes, and some small trees and bushes next to this path. And I was looking around and maybe expecting some Swedes pigs, Wildschweine, white pigs.
Wild
I don't
boars.
know. Yes, because of the Spuren, and
Because of the
then
tracks.
I turned around, and this being was maybe 20 meters or so in front of me, standing on the path, and the ass was the same height like the Schultern, and he was just standing there and looking at me, and I was looking back, and inside me it was like, whoa, is it a wolf? And yeah, just this moments we stayed together having this eye contact, and then he went away, and I couldn't see him anymore, just was gone. and I had to pass this path. I was really like honored of this encountering, and also unsure what I have seen and what did it mean, what it meant. Yes, thank you for your listening.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Sandra.
Yeah, that's beautiful. There was communication going on there with you connecting with that maybe wolf, maybe a wolf dog hybrid, maybe a dog looking wolf or wolf looking dog. In a big sense, it doesn't matter. If that animal was a wolf, when there's that connection, that eye contact, we have a lot of people have this belief that when you make eye contact with a wolf or a dog, you are a threat to that animal and they're going to react. And it's really totally the opposite, because that eye contact is a symbol of trust and caring and openness. Now, if we make it a threat and we act aggressively, yes, or if we are frightened or feel agitated because of that eye contact, the wolf's going to pick up on that as well and is going to react accordingly. But if I'm right there with a wolf, a wild wolf, and I'm making eye contact and I'm calm and relaxed, it's going to be a beautiful sharing experience. You're not going to be hurt.
Yeah, it really sounds like that's what was happening there, Sandra. And another thing that we hear from the natives in our area is that when you encounter a wolf like that, the wolf is giving consent, because wolves are very secretive and they know you're around, kilometers before you show up. And so if you happen to be right there and have that kind of an encounter, it's because they are looking for that encounter. They have agreed to that. So that really is an honor.
Mm.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. Before we get deeper into communication, I want to show some differences. First of all, the difference between canines and felines. Cats communicate very differently than dogs and wolves do. We just happen to have a little kitty cat here with us today. Cats are, other than lions, cats are not highly social animals. They do have a social relationship with other cats, but it is very distant and in comparison with wolves. So they do not have as complex a language as wolves. Everything in nature has a reason for existence. And the complex language of wolves and humans is for a distinct reason, and we're going to get into that shortly. But cats don't need it. They communicate a lot by touch. Most of you have probably heard that the whiskers of a cat are very important for their communication with their environment. They go a lot by feel. You notice they don't have very long snouts. They don't need it. They hunt by ambush. Cats are not long distance runners. There's always an exception. Cheetahs in Africa are definitely very good runners. Most cats are not. They're good pouncers, but they're not the best runners. They don't run for long distances. So they hunt very differently than wolves and humans do. We, along with wolves, are the best runners on the planet, believe it or not. And we learned that from our relationship with wolf, because our ancestors hunted together with wolf. And we ran with the herds and we ran down the animals before we had the bow and arrow or the spear. We literally ran down our prey. And with a club, we clubbed them when we got there. Wolves sunk their jaws into them. We clubbed them. Not cats. Now we have two types of dogs that are important for us here. One is the hounds, your basic hunting dog. They have long, floppy ears for a reason. This is so that they don't get distracted and they cannot communicate the way wolves communicate. We're going to see that a wolf's ears are very important for communication, not just for listening, but for communicating. Uh, Dogs with floppy ears can't do that. And that frustrates them. And dogs, most dogs are neurotic because they cannot communicate. They do not have the full capacity for communication that is in their spirits. They're still wolves in spirit. Think of a dog as a wolf spirit trapped in a dog body. And that's why a lot of people have trouble with their dogs. That's why dogs bark a lot. They can't communicate in a lot of different ways, so they bark. Um, Look how frustrated we get sometimes when we can't communicate. We start screaming and hollering or externalizing in some way. Dogs bark. Sometimes they whine. Sometimes they chew on things. They're frustrated, and most of us don't understand that. It's not the dog's fault, um, because they have this spirit of wolf that's screaming to be released, and they're trapped. They're trapped in a dog's body. You see that another feature of hunting dogs is that they have relatively long snouts. Now, they have a good capacity to smell. Hunting dogs rely on smell for tracking. So what I do is I look at dogs as incomplete wolves because a wolf is the complete dog, you might say. A wolf has all of these capacities developed to the maximum: sight, sound, um, the ability to smell, the sense of smell, the ability to run. It's all there, and we've bred our dogs to feature one of these characteristics. Our running dogs, greyhounds, for example, are excellent runners. That's about all they can do. Our hunting dogs, our hounds, have an excellent sense of smell. They're very good at tracking. That's about all they can do. And on with our various breeds of dogs. None of them have all of the traits of wolf, except for those that are more close to wolves. The sled dogs, for example, they're fairly close to wolves yet. But there's some issues there as well with sled dogs. Then we have another type of dog, the bulldog type, the schnauzers and pit bulls, etc. Here's a case. You see the very punched in faces. They not only don't have a sense of smell, but they have trouble breathing because of it. You see that these breeds oftentimes they're drooling and slobbering and sniffing and snorting. They have problems with their olfactory system, and although they have very powerful jaws, they have short, broad jaws, and they're very good at clamping onto something. And that's what they were originally bred for. If they were hunting, they're bred for clamping on. If they're herding large animals and the animal needed some persuasion to do something, the owner would chase the bulldog after the bull. They're called bulldogs for a reason, and this bulldog can clamp on to the heels of the bull and get and control the animal, help to get him to do what he wants to do. And these dogs are made for power. See how broad the chest is? They can't run worth a darn, but they have a lot of strength, a lot of strength in their front quarters, and that ends up with joint problems oftentimes. So they don't always lead the best life, but they're bred for a specific purpose, and they do very well at it. Any questions on that? Okay, let's get into our first slide.
I would suggest let's do the a 2-minute bathroom break right now.
Okay. Okay, screen share. All right. This is our welcome center for the Brother Wolf Foundation. What we're doing here together is really the theme of what our Brother Wolf Foundation is all about. It's about renewing the human-wolf relationship. You can see that in our logo there, with a person standing beside a wolf. This is the legend of the Ojibwe people in our area of first wolf and first human coming together and hunting together, living together, feasting and fasting together. And the animals you just saw are right there in front, and that's a part of our exhibit in the Welcome Center. And they're there for presentations like this, and also to get a conversation going so that people can see the comparisons and contrasts of wolves and dogs and cats. We'll go to the next slide.
Forward.
This is where it all started for me. This is one of the wolf pups I rescued, and back in 1972. And the two of us are out there in the springtime smelling flowers together, smelling dandelions. And it was so fun exploring new world with wolves, because the pups are so curious. They're curious about anything, just like a human child. It was just so much fun to be with them because it brought out the child in me. Forward. Let's look at the components of communication. Wolf communication is it's a beautiful and poetic language. It's a very complex language, and it to me it's it's like a multimedia presentation to be with a wolf, because there's so much going on at once, and it's in order to be attuned to all of this. We broke it down here so that you can see the different components of wolf communication, and we're going to take a look at each one of those. First of all is intuition. This is the sense of connection. Nothing else has to be said or done or seen. You just know what's going on inside the head and the feelings of the other animal. The tail. There are 10 different postures of a wolf tail, and they each mean something. There are 10 different stances, 10 different positions. And you'll notice that a wolf tail has a black tip, and that is so that at a glance you can see where the tail is because of the black tip. The black tip shows up against just about any background, except at night, of course. Against the trees, the green trees, against the sky, you can see that black tip tail. And the face, we're going to look very deeply at the face. The face of a wolf is it's just amazing. There's so much detail there. I'm fascinated with wolf faces. The ears, already mentioned the ears. They're the different positions that the ears are held in. They're not just for listening, but they help to contribute to visual communication. And the gaze, we already mentioned the gaze. That was brought up by one of our participants here. The gaze is very important, and it's not just the eye contact, but what's going on around the eyes. You can see in this expressive painting right here that the eyes are there, but look at all the nuances around the eyes, the differences in color and texture and shade. It all means something, and we're going to be getting into that. And scent. Wolves smell, but they also smell themselves, which means they have a scent. They Wolves have scent glands between their feet, between their toes. They have a scent gland midway up their tails, and they have anal scent glands too. You notice that when two dogs get together, what's the first thing they do? They smell each other's butts, right? And oftentimes they try to smell human butts too. That's part of their communication because those anal scents are very unique. It's like a fingerprint. They each have a very unique fingerprint, and they're connecting with each other in that way to see. They can also tell that they're related in that way. Two wolves can come up to each other, and they can tell, even though they've been apart for a long, long time, they can tell whether they are cousins or uh, brother and sister or grandfather and grandson and granddaughter. And that means a lot in terms of their relationship. Wolves are very careful about inbreeding, for example, and these scent cues tell them whether they are too closely related to mate. It's just amazing, the amazing levels of communication that are going on instantaneously there. Wolves will also roll in something to exaggerate their scent. You know, if there's, and you may have noticed that if you have dogs, they look for something smelly and they rub their faces in it and roll around in it. That's to actually exaggerate their scent. They don't want to disguise their scent. They want to exaggerate it. Posture. We have all these individual components of communication, but it all comes together in posture. The tail, the way they hold their back and arch their back, the level of their head as to whether it's elevated or level with their shoulders or actually lowered. Their paws, how they're if they're extending their paws, that means they want to play. When you see a dog all excited and wants to play, throws the paws out forward, that's an invitation to play. That shows openness and submission and trust. Hey, I feel trusting enough with you that I want to play with you. So when a dog wants to play with you, it's quite a compliment. Forward. Forward.
Okay, it might be a short delay. Do you see
Okay.
the next slide now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Now we're getting down to the breaking down communication into its various components. And again, if you have any questions on this, just raise your hands. You know, we have a couple hours here, and we want to give you an overview. But if you want any explanation of any of these details, just holler. Be glad to do that. We'll squeeze as much as we can into 2 hours here.
Okay, we have a question from Zana.
Yeah, I was just curious about if dogs also are able to tell that they're related. Can they also smell that on each other? And because they don't seem to have the same desire not to mate with siblings, for example, or with dogs that they're related to. Can you talk more about that?
I sure can. Yeah. This has something to do with the neotenous characteristics of dogs. You know how, at least I was, and I don't know if I'm speaking for how many of you, but when I was an adolescent, I had a lot of sexual energy. I was out there to explore. I was curious. I wanted a lot of experience. Well, that's the way it is with our dogs because they're caught in that adolescent phase. They're still adolescent animals, and a male dog will many male dogs, if they're not neutered, of course, they'll breed with just about anything that comes along, including I've had male dogs trying to breed with my leg, you know, jump up on my leg and try to try to hump my leg. They just have a lot of sexual energy. Not so with wolves. They have a mating season, which is in the early spring, from starting in late January to early February. And male wolf's testicles will expand at that time. And will produce sperm. It's not that a male wolf can't mate at other times, but it is very unlikely. There's this energy, and a female wolf comes into heat only once a year at the same time for about an average of 10 days. That's it. That's their window for breeding. And there are reasons for that, but that's part of another workshop. But that's it. Now, dogs, female dogs will go into heat twice a year, and male dogs can mate at any time. So there's a very, very big difference in the sexual energy here. And that has to do with how they relate to each other. Male dogs have no qualms about mating with their daughters, with their mothers. They don't care. If it's a female dog who's receptive, they're going to be on it. They're going to be on the animal. And it's because of that neotenous trait. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Sure. And this doesn't mean that they're not sensitized to the scent of the other animal, and they might know that they are closely related with that animal. They just don't care. They have an urge that overrides all of that.
Joe has his hand up.
Yeah, I'm wondering about preference too, because they mix with coyote and mix with a domestic dog and fox. I'm going to assume too. Do we have any idea, what kind of piques them to prefer maybe a wolf or a dog or something else?
Yeah, we have a lot of cues on that. First of all, wolves cannot mate with foxes. They're canines, but they're too distantly related. That there's not enough genetic similarity there to have a successful mating. The reason that a wolf will mate with a coyote is that, first of all, if there is a solo wolf out in territory where there are no other wolves and there are coyotes, there are two reasons that the wolf will mate with a coyote. One is that the coyotes have adopted to that habitat. They have figured out that niche. And if a wolf is going to be able to live there, a wolf has to adapt to that niche. And the easiest way is to merge with the resident population there. And the wolf intrinsically knows this, so the wolf is going to choose a coyote mate in order to bring his gene pool into sync with the gene pool of the resident canids. Another reason is I guess it's habitat again. I know a situation where there was a wolf in wolf territory who lost his mate, and he migrated out into an open area where there was a lot of prey because he no longer had a hunting companion, and it was hard for him to take down moose. So he went out into farmland where the coyotes lived, and he was there living with coyotes because he needed to in order to eat. So it was more of a socialization. He joined this family of coyotes, and he bred with the mother coyote, and they had hybrid pups. And he was just there for a year. The call of the wolf took him back into the wilderness, and he eventually found a wolf mate. But he left his genes behind because he had a litter of pups with these coyotes.
So that they wouldn't seek out, let's say you got a lone wolf, they wouldn't seek out a domestic dog because there's no other wolves around in a domestic setting. They really need to be on the same kind of level and how they live and interact, I guess.
I'm glad you brought that up because this is the third component I want to get into, and that is courtship. Just as with humans, We find out if we are compatible with with another person by courting that person, spending time with that person, doing what they like to do, sharing our lives together hopefully before we really commit to having offspring together. Because having offspring together is a big commitment. And the same with wolves. They have this courtship period, which is beautiful to watch. If you could just imagine your ideal courtship with a potential partner, that's the way it is for wolves. They have the same experience. So they spend a lot of time together courting before they actually commit themselves to starting a family together. So they know they fit. And a wolf and a coyote, it's very rare that they are going to fit. They might attempt a courtship, but they have a different prey that they're attracted to, different habitats. They have different buddies they hang around with. It's just not going to be much compatibility. The same as if you came across a woman and you just didn't sync very well. You lived in different countries and had different interests and you ate different foods and all of that. There might not be much basis for a long-term relationship. And the same with wolves and coyotes. That's why it very seldom happens, but it does happen.
Okay. I'm seeing a lot more differences between wolf and dog through this.
Yeah. Um, uh, there are puppy mills. Some unscrupulous breeders. Wolf dogs are very popular, and some people are into it for the money. So they will have a male wolf, captive male wolf, and a bunch of dogs, female dogs, and they breed the male wolf with the female dogs just to raise uh, wolf dog pups for the puppy market. They will breed. I don't call that mating. I call it breeding. In the wilds, it very seldom happens. What typically happens is that wolves will kill dogs rather than mate with them. They A wolf when they have a puppy who is malformed or is diseased, or even another adult wolf who is just suffering, they will do and is not going to not probably not going to recover. They will do a mercy killing. They will kill that animal rather than watch their companions suffer. And this is my theory as to why wolves kill dogs, because dogs look like some aberration of a wolf. It's just, they can't function decently. So, from a wolf's perspective, a wolf is doing this dog a favor. It's not a sign of aggressiveness or dominance or anything. It's actually, from a wolf's perspective, they're doing something kindly and benevolent. Does that answer your question? Or would you like to explore that more? Okay, good. Okay, any other questions right now? Okay, let's look at these vocalizations. Now, there are two categories of vocalizations. There are aggressive and defensive communications. The reason a wolf will vocalize aggressively is that a vocalization sends a direct message without having to press a point, without having to get physical, you might say. The same way we would attempt to talk something out before we get into a fist fight. Hey, let's see if we can resolve our differences. And defensive communications as well. If a wolf is being threatened or attacked, the threatened animal can communicate why I'm in your territory. I'm not here to try to steal your mate. I'm not here to try to take your territory over. I'm just passing through, that's all. Whines and whimpers. With wolves, it's the same as dogs. Dogs will whine and whimper. to communicate just sometimes frustration, sometimes some emotion that they're trying to get out. Sometimes they're just excited. Growls and snarls, that's obvious. Again, it's attempting to communicate a strong need or a strong emotion without having to get physical. Yelps. It's the same with dogs here. It's an expression of surprise. If a wolf is startled, a wolf will yelp. And that is partially to release stress, and is partially to let their compadres, their fellow wolves, know that, oh, there's something going on here that startled me, and you ought to know about it. So the yelp communicates that. Whoops. Some dogs are very good at woofing. And again, this is when they come across something that is different, something that is out of place, they will woof. And that is partly to gain the attention of whatever they've come across without communicating anything else. They don't want to whine and whimper. They don't want to growl and snarl, and it's not aggressive or defensive. It's just letting them know that, hey, what's going on here? Barking. Wolves very seldom bark. If a wolf is being threatened and wants to protect, let's say the pups, let's say a grizzly bear comes into a den area, and the mother wolf is there and wants to protect the pups from the grizzly bear, the wolf will bark. That's a very strong signal. Very strong signal. It very seldom happens, though. People who've been around wolves a lot will hardly ever hear, if ever, hear a wolf bark. It's an exceptional situation. Now, dogs, some dogs seem to be barking all the time. That's because they are frustrated. They can't communicate. They're barking. A new person comes into your yard. The dog just starts barking and barking and barking. The dog it's a defensive communication again. The dog cannot communicate in other ways with you, so the dog is barking. You're not going to get the message in any other way, either because the dog is incapable of communicating it because we've bred many of these communication features out of dogs, or because we don't understand what the dog is saying. And so the dog barks and barks and barks and barks. And there's another issue in that we are not communicating on the dog level. We talked about this last week. If you want to connect with a dog who is seemingly aggressive or barking, get down on that animal's level, and the odds are the dog is going to quit barking and start communicating in other ways. Going to start sniffing, maybe wag her tail, start checking you out, and checking your face, checking your facial expressions. Now the dog can communicate with you because you're on the dog's level, and the dog's probably going to quit barking. And then there are howls, which takes us to our next slide. Forward, please. How many of you think that dogs howl at the moon? This is a loaded question, of course. You probably picked up on that already.
Only werewolves.
Yeah, right. And that's the myth. We have this image of an eerie moonlit night, and the wolves are out there howling, and there's this ominous presence. That's where the werewolf mystique came from. A werewolf can be a normal human during the daytime, and at night they turn into this wolf, this bloodthirsty. Yeah. Wolves do not howl at the moon, and they do not howl on moonlit nights any more than they howl on nights when there's not a moon. It's just that it makes an impression on us when there's a moonlit night and there are shadows and it seems spooky out there, and you hear a howl in the distance. Ooh, the wolves are out, they're howling at the moon. No such thing. It's pure myth. It's embedded in our culture. Forward. Now we're going to look at what wolves do howl at. A howl might seem to be just a howl. And actually, howls are very, very complex and varied. Here are 12 or 14 different ways that reasons that wolves howl, and each howl sounds different. And I'll describe each one briefly. In order to really feel the difference of the howls, we'd have to have recordings, and that would be a whole nother workshop too, because it takes time to play all the recordings and everything. But just so that you know, and this can help you to understand why your dog is howling too. Dogs will often, some dogs will howl when they hear a siren or they hear a sound that resonates with them. What they're doing is that it's triggering an instinctive desire to communicate with another howling animal, with another dog off in the distance, and they hear this siren that hits a certain frequency, they will howl. Or you can howl to your dog, and your dog will howl back. It's just an automatic response. But here's why they're doing it. I'll go through each of these, and you can stop me at any time you want if you want further explanation. This is just an overview again. But it's a good overview because it's going to give us a sense of the quality and spirit of the howl. And I just get filled with emotion when I go over this because I howled with my wolf family for so many times, and the resonance we felt, the deep sense of oneness, of coming together as a circle, is just it was ecstasy. So here's why wolves howl and why I howled with them. One is that the first one is climax. And the reason I put it first is that this is a celebratory howl. When we finished a meal together, we would all howl. It's kind of a Thanksgiving or a celebration after a meal. Or the culmination of a successful hunt. We brought the animal down. We have food for our pups. We're good for a couple of days. We all howl in thanksgiving and gratitude. And that comes into the second reason. Well, first of all, more on the first one. When a family of wolves, they're out scattered, they're out doing various things, they come back together and they feel this excitement about being together again. They will all howl together. It's a climatic moment. Or they get together at their rendezvous site with the pups. The pups will come out and they have their high-pitched little howls, and the adults will howl with them. It's like the parents coming home, like you coming home after work and just, feeling good about being around with your kids again. And you're jostling around, patting each other on the back, that sort of thing. Now, the howl of Thanksgiving, this is a howl of gratitude when they are feeling good about something being achieved. And here, this is more like a successful hunt. Or a family of wolves might be traveling through foreign territory, and they get through it without encountering grizzly bears or another family of wolves. There's no confrontation, and they get up to the ridge on the other side of the valley. They will all howl together and just in gratitude for something they've achieved. Joy. This is the one that's the hardest to explain because It seems as though a family of wolves would just break into a howl sometimes. There doesn't seem to be any reason. They're just feeling good. That's it. Just feeling good. Just feeling good about life. Resonance. A group of wolves is playing together, and it's just clicking so well. They're having fun playing. They play the regular games we play as children. They play tag. They play hide and go seek. They play capture the flag. For them, it's capture the bone, but it's all the same games. They're all training for the hunt. But here, just in the middle of a game, they might just stop and all start howling. They just feel so good. They've got this oneness, this synergy that they've created amongst themselves. SOS. This is a warning sign. And this sort of howl is really different because it's really straightforward and clear. Just like an SOS signal is, there's no messing around. We've got to get this message through real quickly. It could be that a bear is approaching the den and there are young pups, and the bears will oftentimes, if they find a den, they will dig up the den and eat the pups. So the mama will send out an SOS howl, and that means post haste, everybody get back here. I need help. We got to defend. We got to defend the den. Support. A wolf might be in trouble, and I've got a couple sad stories here. A wolf caught in a trap will set out a support howl and to bring the rest of the family around. And they try to chew off the trap. They try to pull the chain off the trap where it's chained to the tree. And if they can't do it, they might set up another support howl to bring in more of the family. And or a wolf could be cornered by a bear, or maybe another family of wolves. A wolf was out trespassing on another family's homeland, and might be caught and challenged. And she sends out a desperate howl of support to get her compadres there to help her out. The next one is mourning. When a wolf dies, the rest of her family will come around, and they will spend time with their dead compadre. They'll just spend time there. Or a mate will oftentimes lay down beside her dead partner and set up a howl of mourning, just a howl of grief, and you can feel it. You can just feel it. It's the same way that we might wail if we are in deep grief, sadness. Same thing. It feels that way. You can feel it. You know what it's all about. The bugle call. This is it's called a bugle because it's a call to arms, the same way a bugle is used by the military. Calling the soldiers to the front line. The attack is on or the defense is on. It's the same thing. It's a rousing call. Also, that call is used in the morning. One of the family up, and the rest of the family still snoozing, and it's the break of dawn already, and we want to go on the hunt today. So that animal will set out a bugle call to wake everybody up. Welcoming. Maybe one of the family went off on a journey of discovery. It's been gone for a moon or 2 or 3 moons, and she comes home. She comes back home to the family. And this is a howl of joy is put up that our sisters back home. Safety. We're going to get into this more a little later in the presentation here, but there are safety and security reasons that howls are put up, and they sound entirely different than the others as well. so that everybody knows that there's a safety issue. Conflict avoidance. This is really important because when wolf families set up territories where they can feel comfortable, where they know that they're going to have enough food to feed their pups. This is very important. Enough food for their elders, and they really respect these boundaries, these homeland boundaries. And if some young rambunctious adolescents might get out sometime, just like we did when we were young and rambunctious, and go places where maybe we shouldn't have gone, that happens. And there's the potential for conflict there. Just like we got into trouble sometimes when we were adolescents. Same thing with wolves. So, in order to avoid conflict, the homeland wolves will set out a howl saying, "Hey, you're trespassing. We don't want to hurt you. It's fine. You're here. We're putting out a howl to let you know to get back home. Scoot, get out of here." Boundary definition. Homelands have boundaries, and there's a no man's land in between the different homelands. And when wolves go out to patrol the boundaries of their homeland, they will periodically put up a howl. And that is to let any other wolves in the neighborhood know that, hey, this is the boundary. Please respect it. That's all it means. It's giving an audible signal for the boundary. They're giving other signals too. They're leaving urine scent marks. They're defecating. There's oftentimes a trail that's worn in along the boundary. Sometimes there's a physical barrier at the boundary. It might be a stream or a river or something. So this is just another way to put up another sign saying, "Hey, this is our boundary." Homecoming announcement. This is when a part of the family takes off on a hunt. They might be gone for the whole day. And when they're coming back home, they might be 2 kilometers away from home yet, a mile or more away. And they put up an announcement that they're on the way. And this gets everybody excited. Just like you would call ahead. "Hey, I'm coming home. I'll be there in a half hour, honey." Same thing. Everybody gets excited. Wow, they're coming. And when they get closer, they might put up another announcement saying, "Hey, I'm even closer. I'm almost there." And the family who's back at the rendezvous site or the den site will put up a howl saying, "Yeah, hey, great, we're waiting for you." And it's just fueling the excitement of the coming back together at the end of the day and feasting. Same way we would come together at the end of the day with our family, with our loved ones, and the sense of joy that we would experience.
And
Okay,
Joe
forward,
has a
please.
question.
I was just wondering about timing of these howls. Like, I try to kind of compare it with humans. Like a human, well, let's say characteristic howl is like a full exhale. What you see in the movies anyway. And like the first 4 bullets there, it seems like this kind of a positive. Oh, what's the word I'm trying to exclamation? Like if it was a human, it'd be a whoop or a hurrah or something like that. So I just wondering, for like a climax or a joy, or something like that, is that like a really quick howl, or this is like a many second howl, kind of like the others?
The joyful ones go on, yeah, and then it gradually tapers off at the end. It starts with one animal, and sometimes that animal might just be out of sync, that wolf, and it just doesn't catch on. If the other animals don't feel the same, it maybe only 2 or 3 will howl, but usually when especially with the first 3, the first 4, it's usually felt by everybody together, and one animal might start it, and they all chime in pretty quickly, and with the first We actually with any of the first four. Sometimes an animal is standing and fully visible and present. Sometimes an animal is lying down. Or sitting, it doesn't matter. They're going to howl. Standing, sitting, it doesn't matter. And they all join in together, and then it gradually tapers off at the end. And there might be some little whimpers and whines at the end as everything tapers off.
You ever see where one will maybe howl and the others just kind of look and check that one and say, come on, let's not overdo it here.
Yeah, yeah. Especially there are times when it's important to be quiet, when they don't want their whereabouts to be known, and an animal might be out of sync. That animal who starts to howl is going to quit it right away because there's there's no resonance, and the other wolves are going to look at that animal. There's going to be the direct communication there. Hey, you're out of line, and the howl will stop very quickly.
Mm.
One time, Makwa and I were out howling in a howling survey, and we heard these pups howling in the distance, and then it was like an adult howl that was just like no, it was really interesting like that. That really caught my attention. It was like the parents were saying, "No, this is not the time to howl," or "Don't respond to that howl," or something.
Yeah, this is a good one. The pups, when the pups are around 6 weeks of age, they're moved out of the den to a rendezvous site. And this is usually an open area, a forest clearing or something. They don't have to be in the den anymore. They're out exploring the world. And a rendezvous site is a central site in their homeland where the pups it's like a playground. They got room to ramble and rough house and everything. And this is the focus of a wolf's life throughout the summer and the early autumn until the pups are big enough to take off with the adults on the hunt. And at a rendezvous site, the adult wolves will oftentimes howl to let anybody and everybody know who's not a member of their family, whether it's other wolves or bears or any other possible intruders, that, hey, this is our sacred ground and don't come anywhere near. So they put out um, a howl that is a very clear and strict howl. So what happens when Letty and Odemakwa went out, they were doing a survey. They wanted to know where the wolves were and how many there were. So they put out a howl, and the pups answered right away. Again, these are rambunctious pups. They don't know any better. They're not trained. They're just having fun. They hear a howl, they want to howl along with. And it wasn't the time to howl because that let them let others know of their location. And the adults don't want that. They want to keep the pups safe. If they put out the howl, they're doing it for a reason, to keep others away. But when there's someone intruding, they want to be quiet and just hope that this intruder just passes on by and doesn't stumble into the rendezvous site. So they were the intruders, and that's why the adult got the pups to shut up right away. Okay, is there
Wonderful.
another question? Okay, forward. Now, here are two different types of howls that we'll get a little deeper into. There are howls of deception. Now, when wolves want to let other wolves know that this is their homeland and they would rather not have any intrusions, thank you. Please go around our homeland, or please go hunt somewhere else, or please respect your own homeland. They want to make a strong and definitive statement. So if you hear a wolf howl and that doesn't seem to be very synchronous. They're not, it doesn't sound much like a harmonious chorus. It's for a reason. The one howl is going to start, and another one's going to start, and another one's going to start, and another one. They do that so that it sounds like they are 2 or 3 times more than they are. 5 wolves can sound like 10 or 12 if they're not howling in sync. One starting here and here and here and here. You got a number of voices starting and stopping at different times. And another family of wolves can't tell how many animals there are in this family. And they vary the pitch as well. One wolf might start out at a high pitch, another one at a lower pitch, another one at a medium pitch, and another one will stop at a low pitch and come back in at a higher pitch. So they're varying their timing and their pitch. So it really mixes it up, and it sounds like a whole army of wolves out there, and it's really just 5, and it's very deceptive. I get caught up in it. I have trouble telling. They just do it so well. They're just masters at it. And I love being tricked by them. I loved it with my family. I would hear them howling at night sometimes, and I was in the house and they were out, and I would hear this big pack of wolves out there howling, and I knew it was just the 4 adults, but still, I knew it rationally, but my inner self was telling me, no, you're wrong. There are more wolves than that out. And it was really, really fun because neighbors sometimes would tell me, hey, I heard your wolves howling last night. Did you get some new animals there? It sounds like you had more than just your 4 or 6 wolves there howling last night. It sounded like a bunch. Or people biking down the road or walking, they hear the wolves howling, and they stop and they look and they see, where are the rest of the wolves, when they come to visit. They're very good at it. Now, another reason for howling is orienteering. When a family of wolves is out on the hunt and they are spread out, they're looking for a weak animal, an animal they can take down, who they can outrun easily, and they want to stay in touch with each other. They will put out a low-pitched howl that just drifts through the trees. It's very low and harmonic. And it's that way for 2 reasons. It's one, so it travels a long distance, and secondly, so that it's not confused with a howl for any other reason. It's just one lone howl. And this is oftentimes what spooks people at night. They hear this lone howl in the night, and it just grabs your soul. And it's supposed to, because if you're a fellow wolf, you want to know where your buddy is. You want it to touch you deeply, because you want to stay in touch. But when we have the anti-wolf spirit in us, and that grabbing of your soul is not comforting, it's scaring, it's frightful, because we don't have this connection with nature. We've lost our relationship with wolf. So instead of comforting us, it scares us. There's the werewolf out at night. That's where the whole howling at the moon and all that stuff comes in. That's the howl. This is it. The long distance linking howl. The lone wolf howling in the night. Now, if you know wolf, it's going to be comforting. You're going to feel good. You're going to rest easy. If you don't know wolf, it's going to raise the hairs in the back of your neck. This is just a beautiful howl to experience. If ever you are out in Yellowstone Park, for example, for those of you in the U.S. who are come to visit, it's the premier place on the planet right now for observing wolves, because the habitat is so open. You can see wolves for a mile or 2. It's just a beautiful place. Or anywhere you're at where there are wolves, to just be out at night, sleep out, and just there's a very good chance you're going to hear this long distance orienteering howl. Just let it carry your soul away. It's a spiritual experience.
We have a question from Zana.
Yeah, I'm wondering what your thoughts or reflections are on the idea for humans to howl to wolves. So being in the forest and howling to wolves. Like, how do you relate to humans connecting to wolves in that way?
Boy, that is a complex question, mainly because there are humans howling to wolves and there are humans howling with wolves. Uh, if if I feel very good about someone howling with wolves if someone has a understands wolves and understands why wolves howl and where it would be appropriate and even desirable to howl with wolves for that sense of kinship and relationship that wolves are going to feel right along with us because they have ancestral memories too about our coevolution. Wolves have a soft spot for humans. So there can be a definite time and place for howling with wolves. Some people will go out and just want to uh, just go out and howl because they want to see if the wolves are there or they want to uh, get a kick out of howling with wolves and getting a response, or they want to show off to their friends or something like that. I'm dead against that, and it's not their fault. You know, they just don't know any better. That's all. It's not doing the wolves any good though, because for example, if they're at their rendezvous sites, they could perceive that as a threat, and if they perceive it as enough of a threat, they are going to abandon the rendezvous site. They're going to pick up the pups and go off to another rendezvous site, which is a stressful time for the family. So I I would just caution anybody who wants to howl with wolves to first educate yourself. Know what the wolves are doing when they're howling and know what you're doing when you are howling with the wolves.
Yeah, thank you. If you say howling with wolves, does it also mean waiting for the wolves to start, or more as a sort of having a connection to the wolves?
Not necessarily. Yeah, it can be either way. For example, with orienteering by howl, if I want to know where the wolves are so that I do not disturb them, for example, um, I could put up an orienteering howl to see where they are. I might want to avoid their denning area, for example. They'll tell me where they are, but I have to put up the right howl, and they have to trust me. If I put up the right howl, they'll get it. I can't just howl. I have to do a long distance orienteering howl for them to trust me and howl back. Let me know where they are.
Yeah, thank you. Very interesting.
You bet. Thanks for your question. These questions are great. It's beautiful. Okay, and then there is the precision locating howl. Now this is like a whistle. You know, some people will give their kids a whistle when they go out in the woods. Hey, if you get lost, blow the whistle. Now the whistle is high pitched so that you tune into it and it takes you right there. There's no echo with a whistle. A long distance, um, a low pitched howl can oftentimes echo. It's low and it's resonant and it carries for a long ways. A high pitched uh, sound is different. It's very precise. So that's what these do here. It's a howl is a very high pitched. It's not a yip. It's an actual howl, but it's very high pitched, and it's usually short. And the wolves will key into that sound right away, and they'll know where they're supposed to go. Like one of the wolves in the hunting team might come across uh, a moose just died, fresh moose. That wolf who stumbled upon the moose will put up one of these high-pitched howls, this precision locating howl, and all the rest of the animals will key in, all the rest of the family will know exactly where to go so they can all get together to feast. Okay, forward. Okay, here we're going to start looking at body language. And I see we got less than a half hour, so we'll go through this fairly quickly so that you can just get a feel for what's going on here. Here's where body language starts to play in along with the vocalizations. We just went through vocalizations. Now this is the nonverbal part of communication. Right here, this is a symbol of aggression. You see the ears are perked forward. Notice how the snout is pushed up. The direct snare. See the eyebrows down over the eyes? The eyebrows are a certain color. The eyebrows are a specific color. And they help to accentuate the eye so that the animal pulls the eyebrows down to frame the eye. Teeth are shown. The lips are puckered up so that the teeth are shown. This is a symbol of aggression. I'm showing my fangs. We're going to see in another slide here. It says the tail is raised. A raised tail is a symbol of forwardness, of dominance, of aggression, of self-confidence. The ruff in the back of the shoulder is raised up, bristled up. And all of this helps the animal to look bigger, more ominous. The raised ears, the raised ruff, the cheeks are spread out more. The stance is spread out. Everything that symbol that is giving a very clear and direct signal that don't mess with me, back off. Very clear. Okay, forward. This is a midway point between aggression and fear. Now, the wolf is afraid, fearful, but is not submissive. The wolf wants to show fear, definitely. I'm afraid of you, but that doesn't mean you're going to dominate over me. So here you see some combination of traits here. You still see the snout pulled up. You see the ears are back, but they're not laid back fully on the back of the head. They're still partially raised, and the eyes are still there, but the wolf is very careful about direct eye contact because that is a sign of aggression when the wolf is feeling aggressive. And this animal does not want to come across as being aggressive. And you notice that the teeth are exposed, but it's not just the fangs. In the fear shot before this, you saw the fangs right up front, and the lips were pulled and puckered around the fangs. The lips are black, by the way, and the teeth are white, right there. Beautiful. And the black lips are framing the teeth. Just like if we have a picture and we want to accentuate the picture, we'll put a frame around it. Well, these black lips are framing the white teeth. These are my fangs. See this? Okay, forward again. Here the fangs are still there, but now all the teeth are being shown. So this is just what I have. You know, the fangs are there, but I'm not wanting to show myself as being as aggressive. And this is called the wolf smile. And it's the same way we smile. Sometimes we're nervous, and a nervous smile is different than a joyful smile. And you can feel the difference. You can tell the difference. It might look the same superficially, but there's a difference, and the same here. It's a different way of showing the teeth. This is the nervous smile. Okay, we'll the body language, we'll be seeing more of that in the up ahead too, but we'll just talk about it here because this has to do with aggressive fear. you see that the hair on the ruff is down, and the whole posture is down a bit. The taller an animal stands, the more aggressive the animal is. The lower the animal, the less aggressive. And the wolves will go all the way down to lying down and rolling over on their bellies to expose their soft undersides to show complete submission. Now, the submission can happen for two reasons. One is that they are completely dominated over and they don't want to be killed, so they just lay down and say, "You got me, I give up." And that might save the wolf's life. Or it could be in play. "Hey, I trust you completely. Here I am. Jump all over me. Let's have some fun." So the submission could be for two reasons. It could be self-protective, or it could be, "Hey, let's just play. Let's let everything else go." Okay, forward. And here's complete submission. You see the ears are pulled straight down. The muzzle, the snout is relaxed. No teeth are being shown. You can see the relaxed feeling around the eyes. There's nothing being conveyed there. There's no way that there can be any miscommunication here. The lip line is relaxed. The lips are pulled back horizontally so that they don't show anything. So there can be no confusion here. All you see is the frame without the picture, so to speak. When you see a blank picture frame, you can't interpret anything. That's exactly what this wolf wants to get across. I'm done. I'm not telling you anything except that it's over. I'm afraid. I'm not going to fight. You got it. It's your day. Period. Okay, next, forward. All right. Here. What do you see?
Anybody have an impression of what kind of communication is happening?
It's aggressive, ready to fight.
Okay, is it total aggression?
I'd say so.
What about the ears?
I'm assuming they're forward there.
Okay, yeah, this is a little tricky because the ears are forward and they're also laying down off to the side a little bit. If this was total aggression, the ears would be up and forward, straight up and forward, just looking, the ears would be looking you right in the face. And they're squished down a little bit off to the side. So this would be, you might say it's 3/4 or 7/8 aggression. It's there. There's no doubt. I mean, just at a glance, boom, how can you miss it? That is aggression, with a little bit of a tempering with the ears. And when a wolf is facing this face, that's what the wolf is going to pick up instantly. This wolf means business, but there's a little edge to it as well. Does everybody catch that? Does everybody see it? Okay, forward. All right, here's a whole range of facial expressions. We covered the basic three, and here you can see a lot of the intermediates, like the face we just saw. It goes from the first picture in the upper left is the normal and self-assured look, just relaxed. Nothing is stressed. There's no tension there. And next comes the self-assured threat, which is fairly relaxed as well, but just letting somebody know quickly. And then the third shot, the serious self-assured threat. Here you see the lips being raised a little more off of the teeth. In the number 2 image, you can just see the tips of the canines. In number 3, you can see the full canines exposed. But still, the ears are up. Everything else is pretty much the same. You see the nose is a little more puckered. Now going to number 4, submission. You see just the droopy look of the face in comparison with the upper 3. One ear's down, one is up. The jowls are just kind of hanging there. The eyes are just not expressing much. And to the next one, number 5, right in the middle there. Here's some worry, some stress. The mouth is open, not showing not showing the teeth, but just open. There's some tension there. The face is down. There's some heaviness there. You can feel it. And notice the ruff. There's still some self-assurance there too. The ruff is up yet, and the ears are up. They're not as erect and pointed forward as the very first and second images. There, the ears are up and forward. That is self-assurance, strong self-assurance. Here, the self-assurance is tempered. Now, number 6, serious submission fear with a threat. Now, you see the submission with the ears back, and you see the canines fully exposed with the lips being pulled forward to exaggerate that. Yeah. Now, the last line, first one in the last line, submission. The head is down, ears are back. It's the exaggerated droopy look from number 4. It's even more exaggerated. Both ears are down. The eyes are pointed downward. Now, when fear starts mounting and the defensiveness comes in, the fight-flight trigger is at full force. Here's the second to the last shot. There's the fear is still there. The ears are down, but look at the muzzle. Look at the snout. It's up. The teeth are being shown. There's more aggressiveness in the mouth. You can feel it, even though this animal is very afraid. This animal is going to fight, even though he's very fearful. And finally, we have our last image here. This is where all hell is going to break loose. Look at that face. There is no doubting what that animal has intended. You can just feel the energy. Even though the animal is fearful, the ears are way back. That mouth is open and ready for business.
Yeah, this is really, for me, this is really significant, and putting it into the human context, which has surprised me when I first really started keying in on it, was that how when people are afraid, they become really aggressive. And it seems like they're just being aggressive, but it's really that they're afraid and the fear is coming out in aggressiveness. So that's really helped me to have empathy for people that seem aggressive and that I would normally just feel defensive with. It helps me to feel more empathy. So this really describes that for me.
We
Great.
have a question from Sana.
Okay, let's take a quick pee break first, and then we'll come back to your question.
Tamarack, just so you know, we're almost up in our time, and I'm not sure what you want to do with that.
Let's take a quick pee break anyway. Some people may need it along with me.
Okay.
Okay, we'll be right back.
So, Tamarack, your camera's off. Yeah. We have more joyful information to share. However, that would take us beyond time. So if you can stay, that's wonderful. And otherwise, at some point we will be uploading this workshop to YouTube, which will be able to let you know that it's there. And we had a question from Zana.
Yeah, thanks. I that picture that you were showing with the different facial expressions and the one of worry is familiar to me as a dog owner. And I was just thinking about maybe what ways we could think about that we could communicate with our dogs when they're worried to show them maybe that they don't have to worry so much, for example.
That is a very good question. Because we're responsible for our dog's psycho-emotional well-being. What I would do and what I have done, I had dogs in my past too. I had sled dogs and I had a Dalmatian and a boxer. I had various dogs in my life. When my dogs were worried, I would look at why they were worried because they were oftentimes not able to take care of the source of the worry. So when I understood what their body language was telling me, I could do something about it. I didn't have to be frustrated about not being able to understand why my dog was stressed or was showing this tension, this agitation. So it's really knowing why they're being affected as they are. Then we're empowered to do something about it. And that helps to build trust with your dog too, because they know you're there for them.
Yeah, thank you. That makes a lot of sense.
Good. All right. And it's the same with our human relationships, isn't it? Okay, forward. Okay, here's I'm going to spend we've already talked about this. We'll just point out a couple of new things here. Notice how the tail is tucked down under the legs. Generally, the further the tail is tucked down and under, the more stressed and anxious and threatened the dog is. And that's a very clear sign. It's so easy to see. That when the tail is straight out, that means that all is good. It's not life is normal. When the dog gets aggressive, the tail goes up. Okay, forward.
What about when the tail is, when the dog is scared and aggressive?
The tail will be down, but not tucked between the legs. Here is a picture of a wolf showing a whole range of emotions. These are just the general everyday emotions. We're not seeing any real aggression here. We're not seeing any real fear or submission. This is just the normal everyday expressions of curiosity, listening, looking. It just shows how varied and complex the body language can be without going to any extreme. There's so many nuances here, so many subtleties. Forward. Now we're going to get more into the structure of the face. This is the front cover of a book we have coming out shortly on the world of wolves, what it's like to be a wolf, purely from wolf perspective. There's no human voice in this book. It's all wolf. And this face The reason we chose this face is that it shows very specific features. You notice the ears. You notice how the ears ringed in black and it has a dark center and a dark rim here. The same thing. We're framing the picture because the ears, you know now that the ears are so important for communication. Look at the eyes. There's the eye. The color of the eye is very important. Notice how clear and bright and penetrating it is. The eye could be any color, but the eye evolved to be that color for a specific reason. And notice the framing of the eyes. You see the dark ring around the eye immediately with the white brow and the white underside of the eye. And then the brow is framed in white. And the muzzle is dark. The lips are dark. You can see the dark lips at all times. And all of that is bordered in white to feature these features. You can't miss them just at a glance. Boom. And there's a really interesting feature here. You notice how narrow a wolf's skull is? Well, can you come back to full screen for a minute? Just again, you see how narrow a wolf's skull is. Very narrow. Flares a little bit around the eyes. And now look at the face again. Forward. See how broad the face looks? The cheeks are very spread out. They have no function other than to accentuate and frame the central facial features. With these broad cheeks, you see the muzzle right in the center. You see the lips, you see the eyes right in the center. They're featured. It's like the center feature of a painting. You've got all the the flowers or whatever around. Right, it's all to draw attention to those features right in the center. And uh, the neck, the nape of the neck has a dark border as well. All of this is to frame in the face. Forward. Here's a wolf face. See all the features? Look at those flared out cheeks, the dark margins, the eyes. Boom, the eyes catch you right away. The dark muzzle, all there. And notice the ruff. Very, very, very featured, very dominant. And it's a lighter color than the rest of the body. Forward. Another example. Look at the features. And this really shows the margin and the bib here. Look at the dark rim around the bib under the snout and all the white here. Very just featuring the central part of the face. Okay, forward. Here, now, with all of the background you have, you can see what is missing in this dog and why dogs get so frustrated when they try to communicate. See those eyes? Stark difference from wolf's eyes. See the ears, um, the cheeks, the lack of black margin around on the lips. There's so much that's missing here. The nuances of language, the qualitative aspects of language are just not there, or very subdued with the dog. Next. Forward. This is a quote unquote black wolf. Now, you probably know there are black wolves and white wolves. And there's no such thing as an all black wolf or an all white wolf. And now you know why. An all black face would not have the features to be able to communicate. But here is a black wolf. See the face? Look at the features. You can see the white border around the lips. You can see the features, the white shading on the forehead. You can see the white under the eyes. From a distance, this looks like a pure black wolf, but when you get up close, no. See the white on the saddle here to help accentuate the ruff? It's all there, and the wolves can see all of those features, and you can now too, because you know what to look for. This is no longer a black wolf. Next, forward. Here's another example. This is a quote-unquote black wolf. Notice the bib. You can see the light margins in the ears, around the snout, the brows, the lightness under the eyes. It brings out the features really well. You can see the teeth very easily. The eyes just glow. Okay, forward. Here again, this is one of the wolves being released in Yellowstone with the reintroduction of wolves into Yellowstone National Park. Here again, this wolf is obviously scared, submissive, just got transported down from Canada caught from the wilds and transported down in this shipping crate, and very submissive, just bolting out, running for freedom. You can see all the features. Again, there's the white around the lips. You can see some white in the ruff and the bib. The eyes are very prominent. All those features are there, again, in a supposedly black wolf. Forward. This is a quote-unquote white wolf. Now, you can just looking very quickly, you can see that you can see shades of buff and cream. Look around the ears. Notice how they have a creamy border with the dark interior and the white ruffs right in the inside. You can see the creaminess of the bib and the cheeks and coloration of the brows here. There's definitely coloration here. And what's really white is the muzzle, which accentuates the black snout and the black lips. Forward. Here again, these are white wolves. And even from a distance, you can see that from a far distance, they might look pure white. But when you get up close, look at the coloration. Look at the overtones. Forward. Here is a white wolf with a bluish tinge on the face. Look how it draws attention to the muzzle. Notice the whiteness around the eyes and coming down on the muzzle, and the buff color in the cheeks. Again, a very three-dimensional face. It's not just white. Okay, next, forward. Here again, what appears to be an even whiter wolf, but if you look close, there's color. Look at the white cheeks and the dark margins around the cheeks. Look at the darkness on the tip of the muzzle. The dark circle around the eyes, and the dark accentuation of the eyebrows, and the smoky rim around the ears, and again the dark interiors, which draws attention to the dimension of the ears. Next, forward. Here's even more of a close-up so that you can see those features. You can see the grizzly in the fur when you get up this close. Forward. Here again, another animal that shows the various features, the subtle shadings and coloration. Wolves have very sharp eyes. These subtleties might not seem to be so much to us, especially at a distance, but a wolf is going to pick them up because they have sharp eyes. They have eyes that are evolved to pick up these subtle nuances in communication and facial communication. Forward. Here again, look at the differences in shading that from a distance are going to look pure white. Forward. Interestingly, we co-evolved with humans. With wolves, sorry. Hopefully we co-evolved with our fellow humans too. Here you can see a man with a white beard. And from a distance it might look white, but when you look up close, you can see the dark eyebrows. You can see some darkness in the forehead part of the hair. And the mustache is darker than the rest of the beard. Again, we evolved for the same reasons as wolves did with facial communication. And here's where our elders are able to communicate very strongly. Our elder males are able to communicate very strongly non-verbally, and we can pick up on these nuances just intuitively the same way wolves do. Forward. These are white wolf pups, and they are even more shaded than their adults for a number of reasons. One is camouflage. A white pup on the ground is going to be very distinctive and very much more vulnerable to predation. And also this helps them because their eyes are not strong when they're pups. They have trouble distinguishing the nuances that an adult eye can distinguish. So they have more coloration in their faces so that they can have better communication amongst themselves. And as they mature, when they're half grown, they're pretty close to their parents' color, and when they're fully grown, they fully shed out to the mostly white of an adult. Forward. Here are white wolf pups close up. And here you can already see the distinguishing features in the face. Notice how light it is around the eyes. Notice the dark shadings of the muzzle and the black lips, and how distinguished the ears are with the dark interiors and the white border with a bit of a dark rim. It's all there already. These pups are about 5 weeks of age, just coming out of the den. Forward. Here's a little humor to wrap up our sharing. Had to include that. It was just so cute. Gary Larson is so much fun. He comes up with so many good quips. All right. Well, it's been a pleasure sharing this with you. Here's some information for those of you who are new to who we are. There's our webpage and phone number if you want to give a call. Just feel free to call if you have any further questions or you want to explore something. And we have books on nature and living in balance with nature and the animals, on communication. You can go to our webpage and find those books. And I
That
just want to
in
thank you.
I'm gonna put that in the chat. The website and email, just so that people can access it from there directly. Yeah.
Yeah, just in closing, I'd like to speak from myself, from my heart. This this sharing is a big part of who I am and what I'm all about. And I feel so good. I feel so privileged to be able to come together with people of shared heart and shared spirit in order to just convey some of what's so meaningful to me, what's been so meaningful in my life, and what has inspired me to do what I'm doing. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, and I think it would be really good to just give a moment to see if there's any final reflections or questions.
Okay. Carry the spirit of wolf in your hearts because your spirit is in his heart, I can guarantee you. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. The information is now in the chat if you want to copy it or take a photo. Yeah, thank you for joining us as in this celebration of the 50th anniversary. We're going to be continuing with holding that spirit. And yeah, we are about to, we always give different kinds of classes that you can check out on our website, or putting things on our YouTube channel. And we will also be giving classes in Europe here within just a couple months from here. So we really hope to see some of you in person as we continue this journey on. Yeah, thank you for coming. Until next time.